Theta 2 language policies and ethnic minorities in the South Caucasus. That's a little bit about me. I will also write in the chat my name, and I can tell you where I'm from originally. I'm from the state of Iowa in the American Midwest, in the American heartland. That is my home state. So if somebody else would like to.
Why don't we ask Alyona to tell us a little bit about herself? Alyona, can you turn on your camera and mic?
I'm a student of third year course of economical faculty. My specialization is finance and credit. I learn English. I'm learning English because it's necessary for my next entering to magister. How to say rightly, magister. I don't know how sounds correct. After graduation, magistracy, maybe.
Master's degree. Your master's degree.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And I like it. I have the process of learning English, but to study with the help of books, writing rules and dictionaries, it's not so attractive, and that's why I'm here, and I like to learn with the help of real communication.
Well, thank you. Welcome. Welcome indeed.
And I remember you. Oh, sorry, Pete. I was going to say, I remember Alyona from last semester's class with Jan.
Excellent. So you're very familiar with the format, Alyona, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Well, good to meet you. Good to meet you. And I assume you join us from Omsk, right?
I'm glad to see you again.
Glad to see you as well. It's always nice to see a familiar face.
Yes, and that's why we call this group the veterans, not because we've all served in the Army, but because you've frequently done another course with us previously and come back. So you're a veteran of Weatherlawn. Next on our list, I will have to get somebody to help me with the name. Is it LD Zon Forik? You'll have to tell me your Russian name.
I'm sorry, I think about login. My name is Olga. I'm from Olga, yes. I'm from Omsk. I'm a lawyer, and I'm studying English for my work and for traveling. Sometimes I need to do some international contracts, and I need to talk with some people from America to make these contracts. And sometimes I'm traveling, and it's very good for it's very good to know English for traveling, to know something new about the world. That's all.
Very nice. And are you a graduate of Omsk Law University?
Sorry?
Did you get your law degree at Omsk Law Institute?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Of course. I finished Omsk State University as a lawyer about 8 years ago.
Very nice. Very nice. And do you practice one type of law or general law?
Yes, one type of law. It's common law and all which include deals with business, tax, contracts, and another things.
Very nice. Well, thank you. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Nice to meet
Julia.
As we're going down the list here, we have Konstantin. Are you with us this morning?
It looks like possibly not yet.
Not yet. Why don't we ask Leonid to introduce himself if he is with us?
Hi everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Leonid. I was born in Omsk, but now I live in Moscow. I study English for my professional activities. I work in information security area, and also I like to travel, and so it's very useful for me to know English very good.
Welcome. So you join us from Moscow this evening, right?
Yeah.
Welcome. So we will have many time zones represented in our session every morning and evening. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nastya, are you with us?
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Nastya. I'm from Omsk, but now I live in Bulgaria. At the university I studied ecology, but now I work as a coach in Golden Studio in Bulgaria. I study English for traveling, and this is interesting for me to learn foreign language. And here, if people don't understand Russian, they understand English, and this is one of the reasons to learn English for me.
Mm-hmm. Did you say you're in Bulgaria, or did I hear that incorrectly?
What? Excuse me?
Where are you now?
In Bulgaria, yeah.
Ah, okay, I did hear correctly. Okay.
Bulgaria, very nice.
Wow.
Now it's warm here.
Lucky.
And very interesting that English will be valuable for you and perhaps even more valuable than Russian in Bulgaria, right?
Excuse me, so fast and I can't understand.
It's very interesting how important English is in Bulgaria.
Yeah, it's really, yes.
Very, very interesting. We will we'll learn about Bulgaria as well as we go through the semester. Very nice. Good to meet you. Welcome. Sergey, are you with us?
Hello everybody. My name is Sergey. I'm 32. I live and work in Moscow. I'm a lawyer by my profession, and I'm a lawyer at a trading center. And it's important for me to improve my knowledge in English because I want to get a job in the municipal company and deal with business contracts and other aspects of civil law. So that's why I'm here, and to improve the quality of my English, to speak English well, to write English well, to repeat the English grammar, to new English words and conditions.
Sergey, I'm so sorry that your microphone, the sound is very, very quiet. So we...
Very quiet?
Very quiet, yes. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Can you turn that up?
And now? Better?
No.
Сергей, звук был хороший, да, по качеству, но очень тихий. То есть, Да, качество хорошее, но надо что-то просто погромче как-то сделать и все, а так будет все хорошо.
And now, is it better now?
No.
Вот.
No, still not.
Is it better now?
Вот, хорошо.
Ah, yes.
Yes?
Да.
Yes.
So, shall I
Yes.
repeat?
Would you mind?
Hello, everybody. My
Yes,
name
what-
is Sergey, and I'm 32. I live and work in Moscow. I'm a lawyer by my profession, and the reason that I decided to learn English by Weblang is that it's necessary to me to improve my English knowledge because I want to work at an international law company to have a deal with different contracts and other aspects of international civil law. And I graduated from Omsk Law Institute in Omsk, Korolenko 12. And can you ask any questions?
Oh, very nice. Thank you. And so we have many lawyers with us today, right? An important profession in Russia today.
Nowadays, it's a very important profession.
Very nice. Well, good to meet you. And I think we'll help you over the course of the semester both to speak and to write quite a bit. We will give you that practice.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you, Sergey.
Vlad, are you with us?
Yes.
Please tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Vlad. I'm veteran of this course.
Yes.
It seems
Three
to
or
me,
four times, right?
It seems to me I attend this course all my life. I live in Omsk. I study in Omsk Academy, Omsk Law Academy. I am 5-year course student. So nothing special about the reasons why I would like to learn English. It's I do it for myself, for my profession, for my future travels, and stuff like that.
Very nice. Good to see you again. You are probably our oldest veteran.
Let's see. So
having for at least a year or more. Very nice. Good to see you.
And
Let's
Vlad,
and
sorry,
no,
I wanted to ask a question. I missed, what was your profession? I missed it.
I'm a lawyer.
Another lawyer. Wonderful.
Yeah, another lawyer.
Surrounded by lawyers.
If we need legal advice, Carly, we're in a very good place.
Wonderful. If I get in trouble in Russia, I know who to call.
Russia is one of the most dangerous countries.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Well, Konstantin, I saw you. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Good evening. Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Konstantin. I'm working in Moscow. I study from my pleasure, and I don't know what else.
And you are also a veteran, right? We have seen you for several semesters.
I'm a veteran.
And you have been particularly helpful, I know, in helping us learn about Moscow in particular. Well, good. Did I miss anybody?
Sorry, I have a question. What's happened to my Professor Marston and Professor Wall? Are they refused to teach us?
No. They are going to teach another group on Tuesday. So Professor Marston will come some Tuesdays. So she will be here occasionally. So you will get to see Professor Marston again, but they will teach another group on Tuesday as well. But you will see them, I promise.
Last semester, I co-taught a course with Professor Marston, and before this, I've worked for Webilong for 3 years or something now. So I'm excited to be working more with the university students. That's really my passion since I'm in academia every day. So it's wonderful to be able to meet all of you, and I'm very happy to be here.
I think we got everybody on the list. We're delighted to meet you. What you all just gave us would be known as either an introduction or what we would call in English an elevator speech. This is a very important thing to be able to do in English. And can anybody tell me what the phrase elevator speech means? What might be the origins of that phrase? Sergey, I can see you're thinking about it.
Elevator speech means?
Yeah. What? Well, do you when you go to the office with your law work, do you live in are you in a very tall building or just a one-floor building?
The building of my work.
Yeah.
It isn't very high. It's for about 3 or 4 stages.
And is there an elevator in it?
Excuse me, I have some technical problems. Repeat, please.
Is there an elevator in your building?
Elevator. Yes, there is an elevator in the building. Yes.
So when you get on the elevator, sometimes you see people you don't know, right?
Yes.
And they might, and they might ask you, what do you do? And the elevator ride is very short, maybe 30 seconds, right? Maybe 1 minute. And so an elevator speech is a very short introduction. You would say, hi, my name is Pete. I teach at the university, and my specialty is culture. But I couldn't say 10 sentences. I can only say 3 because the elevator ride is very short. And then the doors open and everybody gets out. And so we teach people, and especially university students here in the United States, to have an elevator speech. You memorize maybe 3 sentences about yourself as a very, very short introduction so that you could use it even when you meet somebody on a very, very short elevator ride. So introductions are always important, and we'll talk about elevator speeches as we go forward. Just think of it as a short introduction.
About myself.
And so when you get on the elevator at work, now you'll always think about elevator speeches, right, Sergey? Let's all look at the picture. Something else that's very important to remember this week in the United States. And if you look at the picture, the tab on your whiteboard that says Valentine. So everybody look at the tab that says Valentine. Vlad, I think you've been with us in February before. Do you remember this very important holiday?
Yes, we remember.
Vlad?
You're talking about Valentine's Day?
Yeah, so we are coming up on a very important holiday in the U.S., Valentine's Day. What can you tell us about that holiday, Vlad?
It's a day when alone people feel sad.
when single people feel sad.
like me.
These days people say about love to each other.
Yeah, very much. So those people who are not single, right? Maybe they're a couple, or they're married, or they're good friends, will talk about how much they love each other. And I am picking on the men in the group today because typically it will be the man whose responsibility it is to go out and buy some gifts for the woman or female. Carly, are you expecting to get a Valentine's Day present this year?
Oh, it would sure be nice, wouldn't it? I know. I'm not expecting, I'm hoping.
Very nice.
My hopes get dashed if I don't receive anything. There might be some pouting on my part for at least a few minutes. Does everybody know that word, to pout?
To pout?
The verb to pout. I might pout. To visibly be sad about something. Usually to feel sorry for yourself.
And usually the presents are surprises. And if you look at the picture on the whiteboard, you'll see some of the presents that you might give in the United States. Who's with us? Nastya, are you with us?
Yeah. What must I do?
Yes. What kind of presents here do you see in the picture? What?
And the present.
Yeah.
This is the roses. And I don't know how to call it.
So roses, first of all, right? Red, yeah. And pink roses.
Traditional presents.
Traditional presents. And in Russia, are red roses and pink roses both appropriate? Is that a good gift?
Yes, in Russia, yeah. Especially red roses, I think.
Especially red roses, yeah. Does it matter how many I give you? Can I give you 12 red roses?
12 roses is not good because the men must give 3, 5, 7 roses, not 12, not 10. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, that's a good phrase. They need to give an odd number, right?
Yeah.
So 11, 13, 3, 5, yes, those are all odd numbers. And the other numbers are known as even numbers because they're evenly divisible by 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. And you'll see some other things there. Those are sort of interesting. What are those, Nastya?
I don't know how it's called.
I'll help you. They're balloons, right?
Balloons,
I think they're balloons. And they have a particular shape. What shape do they have?
Heart shape.
Yes.
Heart.
Everything is shaped like hearts on Valentine's Day. You know, the cards have hearts on them. The balloons are heart-shaped. Very nice. I believe I even brought a picture of some candy. Let me see if I can get that up here. This is a particular kind of candy in the United States. If you click on the tab that says Candy Hearts.
So sweet.
Oh, they look cute, but I don't know what your opinion is, Pete, but I think they are disgusting. They taste like chalk.
Yes, they're very chalky. Yes, Vlad has said they're like candy drugs, you know.
Sugar bombs.
Yeah, they have really no taste, but it's another type of candy that you might give on Valentine's Day, and they have little messages. You know, smile. I like some of these. Hey, babe.
Text me.
Text me or tweet me. Yeah. And so another you rock. Yeah. So Vlad has it. Another very popular gift is candy that you might give to somebody for Valentine's Day. To show that you love them. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about these. My mother sends me care packages sometimes to Finland, so with all the things from America that I might miss, and she sent me a bag of these candy hearts for Valentine's Day. And they are so traditional that, at least to my mind, we don't give them to each other because they taste wonderful, because, as you know, I don't think they taste wonderful, but because they're sweet, because they're so adorable. And I remember when I was in elementary school, we would go through and we would specifically hand choose the hearts with messages on them for which friends we would give them to. And if we liked a boy, we would give him one that said, I don't know, something sweet like kiss or XOXO. I don't know if people know that actually.
That's a very good one to put in the chat. It's an abbreviation or a sharing. XOXO, short for hugging and kissing.
Mm-hmm. So oftentimes you can, if you're writing a letter to a friend or something, you can sign it XOXO, hugs and kisses. Is this something that you guys use in Russia? Do you know this XOXO? Alyona, do you know it?
No, it's.
I don't understand what you mean.
I wrote it in the chat, right? So the X symbolizes a kiss. So when we write XOXO, the X means a kiss. O means a hug. So when we write XOXO together, it signifies hugs and kisses. So sometimes on these candy hearts, it will say XOXO. Or when you're younger, if you're writing something to a friend or to a boyfriend or to a girlfriend, you can sign the letter XOXO Carly, for example. So you don't do this? It's not common in Russia?
No, it's not common.
Ah, well, now you know. Now you can use it.
Oh, yes. But it has to be somebody you know very well.
Yes.
Right.
Use it carefully.
Yes. You would not do it to your boss.
Oh, that would be awkward. Yeah.
Here, I brought some more traditional candy for you, Carly.
Wonderful.
So a more traditional type of candy might be chocolate. And you can see that the person is opening a box of chocolates, but even the box is shaped like a heart. And those are the little chocolates in there. And another brand of chocolates you can get here quite readily are wrapped, each in a red foil. So lots of different ways to give candy. And of course, even the box says, I love you. So Leonid, tell us about Valentine's Day in Russia. Is it a popular holiday or is it not even recognized?
I think this holiday is popular now, and it's a usual day for young people. Young people celebrate this day, and I think people who are more older usually don't celebrate this day. And if I don't mistake, usually people give to each other a simple present, not very expensive, but it depends on, I think.
Yeah, and I think on Valentine's Day the presents in the United States are not very expensive, right? Maybe flowers and candy, but nothing terribly, not jewelry. Sorry, Carly.
But actually, unless a man is making a wedding proposal, that's also
Yes.
very, very popular around this time of year. Many couples will get engaged. I assume you know this, when the man will make the proposal to the woman ask, "Will you marry me?" A lot of times this happens around Valentine's Day because the holiday is so very associated with love. So in this case, she could receive jewelry, or perhaps if somebody is very wealthy, they will buy a diamond bracelet or diamond earrings. But for the most part, like Pete said, Dr. Smith said, it's flowers, chocolate, cards, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And Pete, I also shared an image here.
Ah, very nice.
It's a little bit blurry, but you can get the idea. Does everyone see this under the tab where it says images? There's a man in the doghouse. Does anybody know what it means when we say, "Oh, you're in the doghouse"? If a woman tells you you're in the doghouse, what does this mean?
We don't know what it means.
Okay, to be in the doghouse means to be in big trouble. But usually it's in a relationship between the man and the woman. For example, the man did not get his wife anything for Valentine's Day. Or perhaps he forgot her birthday. Perhaps he forgot their anniversary. This is very bad. The woman gets angry about this. She might pout, and she'd say, "You're in the doghouse." It's something that they might say, thinking as in, "You're in trouble. You go sleep with the dogs outside. You're in trouble."
We are in dog's house at 8th month.
Sorry?
We are in dog's house at 8th month. March or March in English. March or March?
On the 8th of March.
Oh, it could be, because it's Women's Day, right?
Yes, International Women's Day. Yeah, so if you forgot.
It's a crazy day for Russian men.
Yeah, so tell us about that day, Konstantin. What happens on the 8th of March?
I think it's the same like your day of Saint Valentine. We try to congratulate our women. We try to get gifts. I don't know. It's a great holiday in Russia, and it's a bit crazy last time, especially.
And yes, I think you're right. It's very similar to Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it's very similarly to Valentine's Days, but Valentine's Days today, our TV, our mass media try to include in our life, but I don't think that it really can survive in Russia. And I think Valentine is it's a Catholic, I don't know, Святой Saint.
Yeah. Most Americans would not know that there's a real religious history.
Yeah. Not from our Orthodox.
Yeah.
Religion.
In the United States, it really doesn't have any religious connection. And in fact, and my history of the United States, my knowledge of history is not very good, but there was even a very famous gun battle, right? Wasn't there the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, Carly?
I'm not sure, actually.
So the history of it is very mixed. You know,
Yeah.
there's but most Americans would know it just as a day for presents and romance. Now the actual day is February 14th, so it'll be this Friday. And one of the biggest problems will be going to restaurants. So on Friday night, everybody wants to go out to the restaurant. Everybody wants to have a nice dinner with maybe a husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend. And so you cannot find an open seat at any restaurant in my town on Valentine's Day. It's very, very hard. So you have to make a reservation at the restaurant and hope that you can go out to eat. And it will be very crowded. Well, very nice. Now, and we'll have to talk a little bit about Vasmova Martha when we get closer to March 8th. And as we move away from Valentine's Day, we wanted to talk this morning a little bit about culture and what culture is and how we describe culture. We are all students of language and culture, and most of you mentioned what goals you have in language, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how we think about a nation or how we think about a people. So for example, I'd like you to help me think of some words which describe Americans. If I asked you, Olga, to tell me a word that describes Americans, what word would you tell me? What's a good word? Tell me a word that describes Americans.
A happy nation.
It's very complex. I don't know. It's not so simple question.
No, it's a very, very complex question, but just think of the first word that comes to your mind.
Maybe communicate.
Very communicative, right?
Communicative.
Okay, very nice. Who's up? Vlad, what would be a word that you might pick?
Smiling.
Smiling. I like that one. We Americans smile all the time, right? We're walking down the street and we smile at each other. You can always tell us. Alyona, what would be a word you would think of to describe Americans?
They seem to me as very functional, practical, and friendly people. They smile sport and they plan their day and their life, and I think they do things which I think they don't do sometimes things maybe, but like very really.
So two good words there were friendly and happiness. Yeah, I like that. Very nice. Leonid, what would be a word you might add to this list?
I think every person is different and has his own style, and maybe I can talk about internal independence of Americans.
Yeah, independent thinking.
That's a good one.
But I've been noting, Leonid, that you smile quite a bit, so we're ready to make you an American, I think. Very nice. Yeah, independent. I like that one a lot. Who else?
I mean internal independent, internal, not
like self-sufficient.
Maybe, yeah.
Or their own goals matter. They have their own personal goals, wishes, desires.
Yeah, I think independent. We'll come back to that word. Are you doing the list on the screen, Carly?
Yes, that's me.
All right, perfect. Yeah, you're way ahead of me, as usual.
No problem.
Nastya, have we talked to you again? Give us a word.
When I think about Americans, first of all, I think about the Statue of Liberty. That's why my word is liberty.
Yeah, liberty, patriotic, very nice. Sergey, do you want to add one?
What
Sergey?
else?
Sergey? We'll let Sergey do one. Is Sergey not with us? Vlad, did you add one already?
Can you hear me now?
Ah, Sergey, there you are.
Yes.
What word might you add, Sergey?
I think I can utilize many words. When I think about Americans, I think that they usually work very much and study very much, and there's so not many holidays in their life. I think.
Yeah.
So for example,
I may help you with a word, a wonderful word, workaholic. How about that word?
Yes. Very good word.
Yeah, very good word. Made up word, right?
Workaholic.
Work and aholic, right? You know, exactly what Sergey was describing. Focused on work, focused on study, doesn't take much time away, not very many vacations. Very good observation. Vlad, do you want to add one?
Vlad, if you're talking, your microphone is muted.
No.
Ah, there you are. This is a pretty big list already.
And also, don't be afraid to say negative things.
We won't. Oh, yeah.
We won't judge you. We know there are negative stereotypes of Americans as well, so you can say them.
What would be a bad thing you might say about Americans, Vlad? A negative thing.
Okay, if you wish. I don't know. Through my personal experience, I can say that some people are very greedy.
Yeah, money oriented, right?
Yeah.
Greedy. It's all about the money, right? Good observation. I think you're right. I think you are. Konstantin, do you want to add to our list?
I don't know. I think the welfare is a good for America.
It's a pretty good list we have there. Why don't we start another list of words that describe Russians?
Okay.
I'll give you a fresh whiteboard there, Carly. So, Konstantin, why don't you start us off? What would be a good word to describe Russians?
I don't know.
Good and bad. You know, we're talking about a culture or helpful here.
Доброжелательность, гостеприимность.
Hospitable.
Hospitable would be perfect, yeah. Welcoming or hospitable.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Alyona, what would you add for words that describe Russians?
I think Russians are polite and the people too. They're patriotic too. We all see the Olympiad in Sochi, and we are glad to when other sportsmen win, and any other nation. Maybe.
Very nice. I agree with you. Very nice.
Also, on that note, Alyona, sorry, Dr. Smith, you mentioned that your athletes are very willing to congratulate other athletes on their accomplishments, on their wins. We call
Excellent.
this good sportsmanship.
Yes.
When someone is a good winner. It means that they win, but they win well. They don't boast, they don't brag, or perhaps they can congratulate another person on their win. So we'd say good sportsmanship.
Very nice, yeah. Olga, do you want to help us with a word?
Yes, I think that many Russian people look very seriously, but in the town, the people are very kindly and like to have fun and have a wide soul.
Yeah, very nice. Very soulful. But also very serious. You said they look very serious, right? I agree. Excellent observations. Leonid, help us with a word.
Maybe thinking.
Yeah, reflective, we might say.
Yeah.
Would be a really good word here. Always thinking about internally. Yeah, very nice, reflective. Nastya, what about a word for Russians?
I think that Russian people are very patient.
Ah, patient. Very good.
Yes. Sometimes it's not good.
Especially on the road.
On the road, yes, especially when you're driving.
We are very patient on the
road. Who's up? Sergey. What's a good word to describe Russians?
Unfortunately, Russians sometimes drink very much.
Ah, yeah. So there's always the issue of.
Russians often are under influence of alcohol. It doesn't matter what's Monday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day, unfortunately.
So that might be one negative piece.
It's negative.
Yeah. Vlad, do you want to add to our list?
Yeah. I think one negative thing that the Russians know self-motivated. We need somebody to lead us.
Ah, that's very interesting, right? Not internally motivated.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. And I think Carly will add that to the list.
Should be on there.
Ah, there it is. Oh, you're right. If you had to give me a name, a person who you could say symbolizes many of the features of being Russian, who would be a good, we might call that person a role model. It might be a famous person, it might be a politician, it might be a movie star. that when you look at that person, you say, she is Russian. She's very Russian. She's a good example of all of these wonderful characteristics that are on our list. Could you give me a couple of names, maybe a movie star or a politician? The word we might use is the quintessential Russian. Who would you name? Why don't I come back to Nastya? Can you tell me somebody in Russian society who is a good Russian role model, has these characteristics?
I will not be original. This is Alexander Pushkin.
Ah, very nice, Alexander Pushkin. And so Pushkin the poet, right?
Yes.
And yeah, very nice. And tell us a little bit about Pushkin. Was he everything on this list?
Excuse me, can you repeat?
What were some of the characteristics of Pushkin?
He was like Kali, русская душа.
Yeah, very nice. Had the Russian soul.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll put Pushkin on the list. Leonid, would you come up with a name? Could you tell us just a person who encapsulates this Russianness?
I think there are many talented people in Russia. For example, Gergiev.
And tell us a bit about him.
It's very famous. And what else? Композитор, забыл как.
Composer.
And
he's not composer. He is dirigent.
Yes.
A director.
Yeah.
Or conductor.
Yes.
And is he still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. I will have to look him up. I don't know him, so I will have to learn a little bit about him. So a conductor, very nice, and a poet in Pushkin. Konstantin, who would you give us?
I don't know. I agree with sorry, I remember.
With Leonid.
No.
With Nastya.
With Nastya, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Pushkin.
Pushkin is everything for us. It's a commonplace.
Very nice. Alyona, could you maybe give us a name? Who would be the quintessential Russian for you?
History of Russia has many heroes. I don't know to choose the person who told us, for example, he said Russia in the war, etc. Europe and others very determined people who they influence on the history of the world, including.
And I couldn't quite make out the name. Could you type the name in the chat?
Kutuzov?
Yeah, the audio is just a little hard to hear.
I said what? You didn't hear me?
Yeah, could you type the name into the chat?
Okay.
The military figure.
Yes.
Kutuzov. Oh, okay. Very good. Interesting. Yes. Why don't we get one more name? Sergey, do you want to help us? What would be a good name?
I think it's Lev Tolstoy.
Great
writer and writer.
Yes.
It's very serious, and his romances are very serious too. What else? It's a great Russian writer. It's very hard to say about this person because his role in our culture
is very large.
Very large.
Yes.
It's very large. It's very large. His role is very large.
And I'm embarrassed to tell you that most Americans may not even know his name, maybe. But yes, Tolstoy, definitely a very interesting list. Now let's go back to the American list. And we said, you know, some words which described Americans were communicative, smiling, friendly, happiness, business-like or business-oriented, independent, self-sufficient, patriotic, loving of liberty, maybe workaholics, maybe greedy. Yeah, welcome to capitalism. Who would be for you some people who encapsulate these characteristics when you think of who the model American might be? Who comes to mind? Who's got all of these or many of these characteristics? Vlad, why don't you start us off? Can you name an American you think might be very representative of all of these characteristics?
The first name which appeared in my head is Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln, right? We talked a lot about Lincoln last
Yeah.
semester, didn't we? Very good name, right? Abraham Lincoln, the president. And we're going to talk a lot about presidents next week because next week we have a holiday called President's Day. And what do you remember about Abraham Lincoln, Vlad?
What's special?
Yeah, what in particular? Well, so he was president from 1861 to 1863, right? 1865, I'm sorry. And in 1863, he gave a very famous speech, right, Vlad? What was the very famous speech he gave us?
Gettysburg.
Right, the Gettysburg Address. And we looked at that address last semester and thought a lot about it. Abraham Lincoln, very nice. Who's up? Sergey, tell us, give me the name of an American you might put on this list.
And we were smiling. We talked about smiling person.
Or anybody who just, you look at that person and say, boy, that famous person is really American.
Jim Carrey. When I smiling, I think about Jim Carrey.
Excellent. Yeah. I like, yeah. Carly, what do you think about that?
Jim Carrey. Well, he certainly represents the American who's smiling all the time. But
he's very emotive, right? This is interesting. I think it was Leonid said, you know, Russians are reflective. Jim Carrey is not very reflective. You can read his face, his body language is everywhere.
In fact, that's one criticism of Jim Carrey is that some people call him an over-actor.
An over-actor, but
he exaggerates everything.
Yeah, very large. Everything is very large with him.
Yeah.
I like it. That will get us thinking. Nastya, what might be a good American name for the list?
For me, my impression is Felix Kane. This is women. She is a sportsman. and she artist in the circus display. I don't know how to write. I know her because she is the star of pole dance. For me, it's very important because this is my favorite kind of sport.
And could you type the name in the chat? I was having a little bit of trouble hearing the name.
Felix Kane.
Could you go ahead and type that, maybe?
Yes, okay. Oh, sorry, I sent it to Carly.
That's okay.
And this, okay. And let's see, who else can give us a name here? Leonid, we're back to you. Give us a name for an American.
I really have no idea about it.
Okay. Okay. Well,
maybe Columb.
Columbus.
Columbus, yeah. He's really American.
And he was actually Italian, right? And Spanish. Worked for the Spanish monarchy. But that's an interesting, this notion of exploring, right? Set out across the sea. The Vikings had done it, but no European had. That's an interesting word that's not on our list for Americans, but might be. Always exploring and extending and reaching. We can talk about that. Let's do one more. Olga, do you have a name you'd like to add?
I write it. I think about Marilyn Monroe.
I like that. Marilyn Monroe. But tell me some characteristics of Marilyn Monroe.
But I don't know. I don't know her. It's only some obraz. I forget this word.
As an icon, she's just an icon.
I think she was communicative, smiling. I don't know about happiness, but she looks happiness in films. I think she was independent and hardworking woman.
Very powerful woman, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Powerful, yes. And I think it was her business. Therefore, I can say that she was business oriented because she was a workaholic.
Yeah, very much, and worked very hard, and in a time, right, in the 1950s and 60s, when there were not very many women stars who were making a lot of money or getting the respect that she did, very, very much so.
Yeah, I think she was independent.
Carly, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'll ask Professor Storm, who would you put on the list as being the quintessential American?
Maybe it's just me, but I like to think that the president best represents at least the positive attributes on the list.
Yeah.
Of course, that would depend on whether or not you are an Obama supporter, or of course, you would Kennedy. That's a good one. That's a good one.
John
I personally have a sort of positive perception of Obama, so I would say that he represents these things. But But then I also think about when I see
that's
greedy
who I was thinking of.
Yeah, but then when I see greedy and money hungry on the list, I think of Wall Street, for example. I don't think of Obama, and I certainly don't think of the average American, because in my opinion, the average American is more concerned with paying day-to-day bills and just living life, surviving, having enough money to survive, that they're not trying to amass huge sums of money in their hands. You know, I don't know if, Pete, you would agree, but I would say the average American's concerns lie elsewhere.
Yeah, I think definitely. But there is this image, right? Wall Street, the Wolf of Wall Street, money hungry, right? We definitely have this image. So I like President Obama and President Kennedy. I think that would be two good ones. I noticed that I'm going to let Carly talk a little bit about some news and news sources. How we learn and how we experience a culture on a daily basis is very important. For example, now we are seeing and hearing a lot about Russia in the United States because of the Sochi Olympics. And we'll talk about the Olympics in the next several weeks as well. Carly, you were going to share, I'm going to make you the presenter here. You were going to share some of the internet resources that you've been reading.
Yes, yes, and I also found some interesting comics that could be good for discussion as well. So when we're talking about ways to describe culture, and these words come up, also there are the terms like culture shock and culture clash. And first of all, I think it could be interesting if you tell me your understandings. Get a new whiteboard here. If you give me your understanding of culture clash versus culture shock, I will write these here. And if I have any volunteers to start, that would be wonderful. Let me know if you see this on the whiteboard. Culture shock, culture clash. Culture shock, culture clash. Do you see?
Yeah.
Okay.
We see it.
Okay, good. Culture shock. Can anybody give me a rough definition and maybe an example?
Maybe somebody who's had culture shock.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean, culture shock?
So you know the word shock,
Shock,
right?
yes.
Yes, so culture shock. I can give you an example.
I think that culture shock is when some unexpected but a great thing you see. When you, for example, if I saw first Hermitage in Leningrad, in St. Petersburg, I have a culture shock because I was very impressed of this palace.
Yeah, culture shock, I suppose, can be a positive thing or it can be a negative thing. Most often, it's used in a negative way. Shock as in something that is alarming. Shock as in something that is alarming. For example, when you move abroad, yes?
So when you?
If you move abroad, if you move to another country,
thanks.
an extremely different country from your own, you might experience culture shock. The shock comes from the fact that so many things are different from your own life, from the way that you live your own life. So it's like when you think about just what a shock is, something alarming, something that's mentally alarming or challenging.
Something amazing.
Or amazing. Yes, I'd say most often culture shock is used in a negative way. But has anybody experienced culture shock? Has anybody traveled to another country and experienced culture shock? Actually, Nastya could maybe tell us. This would be a good example. I'm sure others can speak too, but Nastya, being in Bulgaria now, have you experienced culture shock?
For me, it was that in Bulgaria people are more friendly than in Russia. I think maybe it's because in Russia we have I don't know how to say. In Russia, very cold and we don't have sunshine, and maybe that's why people very angry. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in this case, it's been a positive experience for you being in Bulgaria, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about anybody else visiting any other countries? Sorry?
I had the same.
Yes, please.
It was culture shock in Israel. I made the internship about 6 months, and it was American program in Israel. It was very interesting, and this culture shock is mixed as a negative and as a positive. It was very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I see Vlad wrote that maybe you can tell us a little bit more about it, Vlad, how you were in the United States, but it wasn't exactly cultural shock.
As I said, I was prepared for many years. I studied English and American culture, and in general, I expected what I will get in the United States, and that's why I can't say that something. I don't know. I was wonder. I was surprised. It was pretty expected.
Yeah, so that's the ideal situation, right? That you're that you're prepared well enough that when you come there, nothing is a huge surprise.
Yeah.
When I lived and studied in St. Petersburg, so I've been to Russia, but I was there for 1 year. I experienced culture shock because there's another language everywhere. I spoke some Russian, but my Russian was not very good. And it was different. As we talked about, Russians seem more serious, at least outwardly. People didn't smile. It wasn't, I didn't feel as comfortable, but then later I became accustomed to this, and the culture shock wore down. The culture shock went away. So now, what about the word clash? Does anybody know the word clash?
Struggle.
Struggle, or another good synonym is conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So culture conflict. Can anybody give me an example of culture clash?
For example, between Muslims and the Christians. In Moscow, there is a great problem. There are no clashes, of course, but too many Muslims in a Christian capital.
Yeah, and so it's important to know here that culture clash doesn't have to mean violence. It does not have to produce violence. It could just be, like what you mentioned, Konstantin, two very different ideologies, two very seemingly incompatible. Culture clash implies a level of incompatibility, a level of contradiction. So one example that I can give here would be here. It's actually called culture clash.
The same situation.
Yeah, so we have something here. We have a woman who's obviously from the Middle East. And what is the situation here? Can somebody describe this to me and how this is representative of culture clash?
anything bad about each other on this picture?
Yeah. So they're very different. Their ideologies are very different. Their ways of life are very different, but they share the same thought. Their perceptions about one another, the way they perceive each other, are totally different. Culture clash. I have a couple of other ones here that might be interesting to talk about. Culture shock. To me, this represented culture shock. An element.
Different traditions in food?
Yes, it's one example of culture shock. Because imagine you move to a country and they use chopsticks, palachki, they use chopsticks, and you don't know how. You don't know how. Everywhere chopsticks. And you just need a fork.
And if you want to avoid the cultural shock, just take a fork with you.
It looks like she did. Yeah. That's cheating. That's cheating.
So it's in her bag, but yes.
Yeah. And then we see here too. Looks like she's drinking a cosmopolitan or some sort of beverage, and the other person is drinking something different. So this is a relatively simple situation that could cause quite a bit of discomfort for someone. For example, this woman might be afraid of how this woman is perceiving her, for example. It could be embarrassing for this woman. Let's go to, I don't like that one as much. Thought I had another one. I also found this sign. And a better word here rather than natives, I think, should be locals. I like the word locals better than natives. I'll write this here.
Yeah.
Locals. Locals. So I would like to know your thoughts about this sign and about tourists in general. Tourists coming to your country and the way that they behave, the way that they act. Does anybody have any comments?
So many American tourists are coming to Sochi and are not reacting very well. Alyona, I can see you on the screen. What do you hear about Americans in Sochi? Are we polite and accepting, or are we more critical about what we find in Sochi?
You wrote earlier that Americans has a culture shock in Sochi, but I don't imagine why, and I don't know the reasons, because when I was abroad, I didn't feel some clash shock. Maybe I and just reasons. I don't know how to say why people feel.
Are you there, Aljona?
Oh, did we lose her?
Oh, we might have something happened.
Although I think she made a very good point that Americans are perhaps not as adaptive. I think that was the word I kept thinking about while she was talking. Or patient.
Yeah. And that brings me to one of the online sources that I've been thinking about. Who here has heard of the website BuzzFeed? BuzzFeed. Maybe Vlad, have you heard of it? BuzzFeed.
I'm not sure.
Okay, I will show you. Because if you are on Facebook, chances are one of your friends or a friend of your friend has shared something from this website, BuzzFeed. Okay. This is a site that has very comical things about America, about other countries, but Russia features prominently in their news stories. It's not even necessarily news, it's comedy. And here they have a whole section titled Meanwhile in Russia. And I will put this link in the chat because I would be very interested to hear your comments on this. They have pictures of really strange happenings in Russia, things along this line. And I always wonder what a native Russian would think of this. Those are only two things there actually, but this list goes on and on and on about strange things that happen in Russia. And this is a very interesting list in terms of cultural differences between Americans and Russians.
And maybe we could go ahead and save some of that for next week. Would that work, Carly?
Sure.
So we are just about out of time, but we're going to start with this wonderful site next week. So you will all get an email or notification from us with the assignment that we're going to ask you to do for next week. And it will be some reading that we will ask you to prepare. And we are also going to ask you to prepare your elevator speech. Because we introduced ourselves today, but I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself in 3 sentences or fewer. So everybody is going to have some reading and work to prepare for next week, and we're also going to ask you to prepare that elevator speech. And we will send that to you in an email. You will also see it on WebAlong so that you can go ahead and do your homework prior to our meeting for next week. So look for an email, look for an announcement, and then we will be back here next Tuesday at exactly the same time. And we are going to continue to talk about this notion of cultures, clash of cultures, hopefully not culture shock. And that will be our theme for the next week as well. So good to meet everybody. What a very good class today. Lots of talking, lots of interaction. This is the way our sessions will be every week, we hope. But good performance, everybody. Thank you and good to meet you.
Also, I would like to say, if any of you want to say something, please chime in. If you ever have a comment to make, start talking, we will hear you, or you can write it in the chat and we will call you out so that you can be heard. If you want to say something, please make it known so that you can speak.
Well, have a good week. We all here in the United States are watching the Olympics in Russia. I know you are as well. So I hope we have a good week and that both teams win a lot of medals this week. See you next Tuesday.
Bye, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.